Thanks for listening and subscribing to the Clive Barker Podcast. In episode 235, Jose and I go over the Hellraiser series TV series news, international Nightbreed releases, and a new way to get some of your Clive Barker collectibles signed. This episode is sponsored by Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination. Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination shop is dedicated to benefiting the Arts and Medicine program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. Up to 50% of the proceeds will support the program where artist Don Bertram volunteers monthly. There's a news feature video that shows Don working with kids at Texas Children's Cancer Center and his artwork. Click the side banner at www.clivebarkercast.com to find links to videos and his Etsy shop where you can buy his prints, books, and support this wonderful program. All right, welcome. This is episode 235 of the Clive Barker Podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Joe.
Hey.
And looks like we're getting close to the 250. So that's going to be a quarter of 1,000 pretty soon.
Yeah, now we have to think of something cool to do for that.
Yeah. So it's been an interesting week. Summer is here. I'm in Arizona. You're in Alaska. I heard you guys had like a balmy 90 degrees in Anchorage this week.
Yeah, and I'm going there tomorrow, so I get to experience it firsthand.
Nice. Here in Arizona, it's already way past 100 degrees. So it feels like I'm you ever see the movie Constantine?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, with Keanu Reeves, where he goes into hell, and hell looks just like our world, but everything is burning up and super hot and stuff. So that's kind of what it feels like here. Yeah. And so what else have you been up to? You said something about going ice fishing soon?
Not ice fishing. We're just halibut fishing.
Oh, halibut fishing. So how does that go?
Yeah, we're going to drive down to Homer. So it's 6 hours to Anchorage and then another like 7 hours to Homer.
No.
Yeah. Right. I used to do that a lot. But yeah. But yeah, so it's halibut fishing is kind of fun. So we'll be doing that and then coming back up before next weekend. Is
it like fishing rod fishing, like a line fishing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, off of a charter boat.
Oh, nice. And you're going to be there with Jen and
her
little
mom,
Joey.
And Joey and her mom and Jennifer's mom and her stepdad, and they're staying here right now. And the spare room is right next to the podcast room, so carve out a little time in the evening. They sleep in, so we couldn't do mornings like we usually do.
I think you should invest on getting some dynamite, and that'll probably get you a lot more fish.
Well, they're like 100 feet down.
Oh wow!
Because they're bottom feeders.
So how does your line get down there with a bait? It has to be a really long line.
Yeah, It's just a really long line.
Okay.
So reeling them up takes a long time, and it's tiring.
Yeah. I was watching some classic horror the other day, and I don't know if I should call it horror, but I was watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Oh. And when you start fishing, you should open up the festivities by saying, "I am the Lord of the Harvest," and you should throw your line in the water, and I guess that'll intimidate the fish.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
It's a line that Dennis Hopper says in the movie. It's just classic. It's just crazy.
Still haven't seen either Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, man, I don't know if that's something you want to watch. I literally got up when I was watching it, like maybe 10 years ago. I saw it in a movie theater at a festival, and I got up like 3 times to walk out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was like, this is too much for me. I got to go. And then I just sat back down. I was like, okay, just 5 more minutes. And then I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. And then I was like, no, let's just wait a little longer. So I ended up watching the whole thing.
I've heard it's not gory, that it's just kind of intense.
Yeah. It's not super gory. I mean, there is some blood and stuff, and the girl ends up covered in blood. But yeah, it's pretty intense, like more like the psychological horror. Yeah. You know, whereas you got like a girl with her head over a bucket, and they put the hammer in the hands of the grandpa who's almost dead. He looks like a mummy. He's like, hit her in the head, grandpa. And it's like, bam. It's like, oh God, that's terrible. It's pretty bad. But then they made the second one. Tobe Hooper made the second one, and that is almost like a dark comedy of sorts. You know, Dennis Hopper is in it, and he's like, it's just a wild,
Huh.
wild ride. It's just crazy. Everything is amped up to 1,000. Yeah, I've been reading a lot. Been reading Abarat 2, Days of Magic, Nights of War.
Yeah.
Found a bunch of interesting things about Abarat. I think I was looking around my files. I think I might have found some of that stuff that they were doing to promote the book at the time. Like, there's like the prologue of the book. It's called Hunger, and I think I remember there was a website called The Worlds of the Abarat, and they used to have, yeah. Yeah, it had a little map, and you could the mouse pointer would become the little boat in the painting of the beautiful moment, and you could just go around and click on different islands and find out information.
Hosted by HarperCollins, right?
I think so. And there used to be that prologue was read by Clive Barker, back before he had all those surgeries and his throat and all that. But so his voice is really raspy. He's like, Abarat 2, Days of Magic, Nights of War. And it's like, oh boy, I found that, I think.
Yeah.
So I need to download those files again from my hard drive and see if I can use them for something interesting for YouTube.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, and I've been reading more stuff, not Barker related, but I read this book called Annihilation. So that was interesting. It was they adapted it to a movie with Natalie Portman.
I saw that. Yeah, I watched that I think it was on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I read the book. I haven't seen the movie yet. I wanted to read the book first, and then I'm probably going to watch the movie this week. But it's part of a trilogy, apparently. Oh. It's not just one book. It goes on for like 2 more books.
Oh, wow. Well, I thought the movie was really good, but it didn't seem to get a lot of attention.
Right. Yeah, and I think from what I understand about the story in the movie that they adapted, it made it a little more different from the book. The book is there's more dialogue, there's more characters, there's more explanation about what's going on, even though the explanation doesn't really explain much, but it helps to understand why they're there and what they're doing. So in the movie, they walk through that looks like a big soap bubble, right?
Right.
In the book, they don't even talk about that. They're all put under a state of hypnosis, and there's a psychologist in their team, and he puts them all in hypnosis, and they cross the border under hypnosis because people would freak out or something. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
There's a bunch of hypnosis stuff in that book too, like the subliminal orders that the psychologist had in line, and the whole thing about annihilation. The name of the book is Annihilation because that was the word that was set up, and I hope that this isn't a big spoiler. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say it, but annihilation was supposed to be a hypnotic command word in case the exploration didn't go well. But I'm not going to say what that was for. So cool. I think I'm going to watch that movie too. It's going to be interesting after reading the book.
I have started watching, but I've only gotten like 3 episodes in. I started watching season 2 of
Sabrina.
Sabrina, yeah, the Chilling
Adventures
of Sabrina. So
okay,
yeah, it's pretty good. She ever since she signed the book, she's kind of distanced herself from her friends because she's afraid of what the devil is going to make her do. So she doesn't want them to be around when she gets called. To do something evil.
Well, the Dark Lord,
Yeah.
They don't really say the devil. I don't think so. Maybe they did. Yeah, maybe. Like they talk about demons in the show, but they never say.
They say praise Satan a lot too.
Yeah, praise Satan. Yeah. Anyway, so it's been an interesting week, and tomorrow I'm going to go to the river, spend some time there. We didn't want to do it on July 4th because it was going to be just full of people tubing down the river.
We actually just did that on the 4th. But we didn't tube. We got canoes, and we
awesome.
canoed down the river for a couple hours.
Yeah, that sounds really, really cool. Yeah, we're going to do that tomorrow. Yeah. So what do we got going on in news? I guess the people are listening to the podcast saying, hey, this isn't the Joe and Ryan podcast.
Yeah.
And I would counterpoint that it is. So
yeah. But yeah, so the Hellraiser TV series, in the article I said is making the rounds again because I didn't want to sensationalize it like everybody else has been. I mean, I think we saw, not only did we see this story in 2012, but we saw the same exact friggin' image. The remote control with the pin sticking out of it.
Yeah, and then the light is coming at it sideways, and then the shade of the remote is actually the profile of the Hell Priest.
Yeah.
And there's the pins all around the remote and says television is going to hell.
Yeah. I know. I know. So the news out of this is of course, just like before, Larry Kuppin and the rest of the rights holders for the Hellraiser TV series have been shopping it around, but this time it says that they're teaming up with producers Roy Lee, who was a producer of It, and Dan Farah, who was a producer of Ready Player One. So it's slightly different than 2012 because there are two producers involved. But, we had, when we posted this news story, we had comments like somebody going, I just want to know what TV station it's on and who's playing Pinhead. And it's like, whoa, that is so far past where we're at with this thing. I mean,
right.
Like we saw with Jacqueline S., even having like a lead actress that's really famous doesn't guarantee that something's going to come of this.
Yeah, that's surprising sometimes to think that way, but yeah, that's how the industry works. Sometimes just because a project has, a script done and, they secure the rights to the story and they are announcing like possible castings and stuff, it still all comes down to producers, right? It comes down to who's going to produce it, who's going to pay for it. And, especially for a TV show, it all has to start with a pilot, right? So
and who's interested in airing it?
Right. Yeah. And what sort of, and I don't know if Hellraiser is gonna. I'm gonna speak as if this is gonna happen because, like you said, the even the promo image that's been used for this revival of the idea that television, Hellraiser is coming to TV. Some A-listers, but we can't tell you their names, and Yeah, but it's like this has been announced like every once in a while, whenever like Hellraiser is like doing the rounds, like, oh, Hellraiser is being discussed on the British Film Institute and stuff, or oh, it's the 30th anniversary of Hellraiser 2, and it's like, okay, it's time to dust off their files and go like, oh, hey, we're trying to make a TV show here. And so for those of you who may have seen Hellraiser 3, Larry Kuppin is actually it was one of the producers. And he's in the movie. He's the derelict that sells the Pillar of Souls to J.P. Monroe.
Take pleasure in it.
Yeah, exactly what I had in mind. Take pleasure in it. And okay, so that is Larry Kuppin, and I'm going to say here, I'm not sure if that's as true, but I think he's also one of the guys who probably licenses a lot of stuff for Hellraiser that we've seen around. Like, you remember whenever you see a Funko Pop and it says Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. And it's like, why does it say Hellraiser 3 instead of just Hellraiser?
It's not like you can tell the difference between Funko Pinhead from Hellraiser 3 versus Funko Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Right. And it's like, that's so weird. But sometimes whenever you see something, it's, it's either using the poster from Hellraiser 3, like the Rubik's Cube from Mezco Toys or whatever. It says Hellraiser 3, or it has the Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth poster image, which is basically a recycled version of the first one. But, okay. Yeah. Anyway, so, that they're trying to make this. So, we'll see if this happens. I mean, it's according to that article of Deadline, like you said, interesting producers connected to it. Guy from Ready Player One, and It, the remake. So I don't know. What would you like to see in a Hellraiser TV show?
I think I'd like to see it as an anthology. Like how they did the
comics.
Yeah, like the comics, and like wasn't there a TV anthology series like Freddy's Nightmares?
Yeah,
like that.
There was. And so, Friday the 13th.
And the Deadline article said, they didn't know if it was going to be a long, series of story arcs or if it was going to be an anthology series. I'd be happy with either one as long as they're good. I don't want to tell them what to do, but Hellraiser doesn't have a very good track record of making really good movies.
Yeah. So here's some notes from producers Eric Gardner and David Salzman, who apparently are involved in this. And it says, Gardner said, with the current proliferation of hit horror theme series, we decided the time was finally at hand to take the Hellraiser TV rights off the shelf. Now, with the addition of Roy and Dan, we have assembled the quintessential dream team, or may I say, nightmare team. And then Salzman said, Hellraiser is an internationally recognizable brand with one of the most memorable Uber villains, yes, he said Uber, of all time, and built-in multi-generational fan base. Now, this is like typical producer lingo.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's an internationally recognizable brand. It's got an intergenerational fan base.
Yeah.
Let's put money in it. We got a guaranteed hit. I don't know if that's true, but I just got chills reading this because it's just such an impersonal thing to say about Hellraiser. It's like he didn't say, oh, I've watched Hellraiser. I'm a fan of the series. I would like to work with it. No, it's like, well, we got the fan base, and it's a good brand.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it'll strike it big with 19 to 37-year-olds.
Right. Who live in the
East
U.S.
Coast. Yeah, right.
I don't know what I would like to see for a TV show. Like I said, it's probably going to start with a pilot. But I would be happy with – you remember when Seraphin was doing Hellraiser Anthology, the comic books? They had 2 separate issues that came out. And they had not only an anthology feel to it because they had several little stories in it, but there was also kind of an a kind of a story arc, right? With the Frank stories and stuff.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, there was something going on there that they were going to try to, make some sort of story that would tease you into buying the next issue. Mm-hmm. So I think that if I would like to see in my perfect world, which I would probably already have like a freaking Blu-ray set of the Nightbreed TV show and a Blu-ray set of the Hellraiser TV show, and I would probably have a bunch of stuff like the Thief of Always movie, animated, all that stuff. I mean, there's somewhere out there in the multiverse a version of me who has those things in his shelf.
Yeah.
And I bet you that guy's happy as a loon. Yeah. In regards to Hellraiser, I would like to see them move on with this and see if they can get it off the floor.
And if it does become an overarching, longer story, I would like to see them set up some sort of a Harrower's concept. Not like the Harrowers comics that we just talked about, but something kind of similar where a group of people learn about it and have been affected, by the Hellraiser universe in some negative way, and they want to fight back.
Right. I mean, that makes complete sense to me because, you got the Hellraiser lore. It's all about people who know the secret knowledge, and they know what the box is, and they know that it gives you power. But at some point, you got to understand, I mean, there's got to be people out there in this fictional universe that would know what happens when you open the box, and it's not fun. And, someone who lost someone or, I would like to see them move away. The obvious thing that you think about when you think Hellraiser TV show is that, they're probably going to go back to the movie, or they're going to bring some characters from the original story, or they're going to bring back Pinhead, which of course.
Oh God! Or if they remake Hellraiser and spread it out, have you seen the From Dusk Till Dawn TV show?
No, I haven't had the chance to watch it. Is that what they did?
I watched about 6 episodes of it, and it was so horrible.
Yeah,
it was just terrible.
Yeah. I would like to see something like a balance of both anthology and ongoing story, which would, like you said, probably lead us into having some sort of force that would be that the audience can identify with. So like the Harrowers, and then have Hell trying to, as usual, open the gates, lay low the ramparts, take all the airports or whatever. Anyway, I had to put that one in there.
Yeah.
But I feel like there would be potential. My only question is it going to work on TV? If it's going to be a walled app thing or Netflix or whatever, I don't know. But if it's going to be for cable TV, that is going to be neutered. It's not going to be, Hellraiser needs to have some sort of margin of, where they can play with people's, feelings and taboos and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's just going to be a watered down thing of guy opens box, Cenobite comes, twist, turn, and then either he goes to hell or he tricks the Cenobite, and everybody's happy. Well, and you can only do that so many times in an anthology format.
Well, and with basic cable, it seems like there's a lot more room to play with violence. Like if you look at The Walking Dead, that show is just horrifically violent.
Yeah.
And kind of emotionally draining sometimes, just with the amount of onslaught of bad things happening to these characters over and over and over. But they seem like more taboo about sexual stuff.
Right. It's the old kind of like the same thing with Stephen King books, where they're like there's lots of ghosts and weird paranormal stuff going on and maybe some monsters, but there's not really a lot of sexual stuff in Stephen King stories, and seems like it's something people don't want to mix. Yeah. Violence and sex. And I remember one time, you remember when Mark Miller was at that show where they do the makeup stuff? What was it called?
Face Off.
Face Off, yeah. Face Off. And Mark said something to one of the contestants, which was, oh, crap. I'm trying to come up with the quote. He said something like, I want to thank you for successfully mixing sex and violence. I forgot. It was something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll look it up and I'll bring that back later. But yeah, I mean, it has to have some sort of like taboo stuff in it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here. I mean, it all starts with a pilot. So I guess they're just trying to hype things a little bit and see if people respond to it and if there's any producers that might approach them. I don't know.
Well, and there was another article, and you touched on this a little bit a few minutes ago, but there was another article by Joe Blow that said like there are several A-list names attached, but we don't know who they are, which is kind of like, that seems like something a producer would leak. Right. So that the actors could go, well, if an A-list person is in there, how come they didn't call me?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with you 100%. That's totally like, that's press release stuff,
Yeah.
They tell them like, I think the Joe Blow article says, says, we have word that several A-list names and networks are already circling the project. While there's currently no word on who these A-list names and networks are, hopefully we hear something specific soon.
Oh my God.
Yeah, really informative. God. That's
that's kind of the press being used for promotion.
Yeah. And I find it funny that Joe Blow also says, we have a new poster for the series, see below. And, I mean,
I was... Oh, yeah, that's a new poster, Circle 2012.
Yes. So I had it in my files. And I remember Catalina Carita from Little Spark Films. She tagged us on one of these news and said, hey, Joe and Ryan, what do you think about this? I was like, yeah, I've seen that before in 2012. And I posted the exact same poster that I had on my computer. And now they're like, well, here's a new poster. I got news for you, Joe Blow. That's not new.
And back then when this came out, I mean, it may be just that we weren't doing news posts. I can't remember because we were pretty new.
Yeah.
We didn't really report on this or talk about it much because it seemed, with this poster image, it just seemed like somebody throwing something at the wall and trying to get attention, Right.
Yeah. And from what I recall, this went away really fast. I mean, this just came out, and within a couple of weeks, there was no updates. Nobody talked about it. Yeah. And it just kind of fell into, oblivion.
Yeah.
So now that things are a little more, interesting in the terms of there's a Nightbreed TV show that people are trying to develop. Hellraiser is, ingrained completely in the current, people are talking about Hellraiser all the time. These big, 2K restorations came out, and, there's new stuff from Clive Barker being reprinted and released every day. Yeah. I guess they were just trying to see if they can do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, Hellraiser is way up there with classic horror cinema from the 80s.
Absolutely. Yep. So let's hope that this doesn't fall into forgetfulness again. Yeah. And in the meantime, there's some new stuff happening with Nightbreed in Japan, right?
Yeah. So Nightbreed has a couple of announced releases, and one of them was from King Records in Japan. Uh-huh. And they had originally had some artwork that they couldn't use, so they switched to this other artwork that I think they also have on the theatrical version or something like that. I mean, it's all on Amazon, amazon.co.jp, on the Japanese Amazon.com. So I'm not sure what versions of the movie are in here.
Right. And I'm looking at it right now. It says 8,000 yen. And I guess that translates somewhere about $75 or something.
Yeah.
And can you tell us what's written on the cover? Because I just see the kanji.
Yeah, it says Nightbreed, and then it says Midian.
Okay.
And then the kanji below that, it's probably a translation of like Dead of Night or something. But
okay, okay. So it seems like Midian became a popular title for a Nightbreed outside of the U.S. and Canada. Yeah, like Italy and France and Germany, they all kind of called it, either Cabal or Midian. Yeah. That's the name that they usually use for that.
And so it says Midian, and then it says the kanji that's probably has to do with like a literal translation of Nightbreed. It says Blu-ray, and then right under that, that linked text says David Cronenberg. So it's like starring David Cronenberg. He gets top billing, I guess.
Top billing. Yeah. Not Craig Sheffer and Bobby, but David Cronenberg. Yeah. I mean, fine. And sometimes then
it says Clive Barker to the right of that one.
Oh. And sometimes I know that they use the kanji to phonetically spell out the title, but in kanji, so it'd be like Night Burrito or something like that.
Yeah, that's in katakana. They have a special alphabet just for foreign words.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, I'm really jealous that you know Japanese, because that's always been kind of like, one of those things that if it uses a different alphabet, it's really hard to get into, right?
Yeah.
Same with like Russian or Chinese or Japanese or
Japanese uses 2 alphabets plus Chinese characters.
Yeah, that's hard to learn. So props on you for knowing that. All right, so
it doesn't say Clive Barker. It says Craig Sheffer.
Oh,
so
okay.
He's after David Cronenberg.
That's cool.
And one more.
And it's King Records, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I wasn't sure. I had to look into this a little more for King Records, but there's a little symbol on the side of a wolf, on the side of the picture. That's a King Records symbol.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, howling wolf, and then it's surrounded by a square with 4 pine trees around it.
Yeah. So I guess that's their symbol. And so you can get it on Blu-ray or DVD.
Okay, cool. So I just had to bring this up. I saw some promo art originally when they were like announcing something like this, and then they were using at the time some sort of Occupy Midian poster art, which I must have been a placeholder thing or something, or I don't know. And now they reverted back to the old picture of Craig Sheffer with all the Nightbreed next to him, and
that's a really old Nightbreed picture. That's what's on my Laserdisc.
Yeah, that might be. I don't know how many promo pictures they did for this, but I don't think they did a lot. Yeah.
And somebody had pointed out that they're all photoshopped together in that photo, and it's like, that never used to bother me when back in the day when on the Laserdisc cover, but you look close at it now, it's like, wow, yeah, they totally are all just photoshopped in there together.
Yep, they're all jumbled in, and some of these pictures came out in the Nightbreed Chronicles, and some of them came out in the Nightbreed Making of the Film books that was released in '89. Yeah. All right, so another edition of Nightbreed is coming to Japan.
Yeah. And then on top of that, Arrow has been kind of teasing upcoming releases in little catalog newsletter things that they put in with their movies, and one of them they said was Nightbreed.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the Japanese page for Nightbreed, and I translated it to English using Google, and I'm looking at it, and they have several editions here. I guess they must be different editions that have been released over the years in Japan. One of them is the normal version, then says Blu-ray normal edition with bonus. Then it says normal version again on Blu-ray, and then Blu-ray final edition with bonus. So I'm not sure which one this is. I think this should be the 8,107.
Yeah.
Okay, so that says normal version. I wonder if that's the theatrical.
Oh. Yeah, and I wonder what with bonus means. What are they including with that?
I don't know. They don't really have a lot of information here. Oh, wait,
No.
here it is. Product description translated to English says, this is going to be funny because, when they translate Japanese to English, it doesn't come out right. So
Yeah.
the legendary monster horror domestic first Blu-ray of Hellraiser directed by Clive Barker. The director's cut version by Clive Barker, which recorded the additional scene of Fan Long Awaited, is completely recorded. So, translating that, it's probably going to be the director's cut that's being released.
That's great. I mean, if that's the case, if the director's cut is making its way finally to international releases, then good on them for negotiating that finally.
And the synopsis translated to English says, Boone is annoyed by the nightmare that monsters appear. It was, and we know that the monsters, the tribe of darkness, exist. In fact, serial killer psychiatrist Decker sought out their urban Midian and tried to eradicate the dark tribe. So I'm guessing this says Boone has been plagued by nightmares.
Their city, it says they're urban.
Well, probably urban is city, and they translated it as urban Midian. That's city Midian and tries to eradicate the Nightbreed. So cool. It says this work 102 minutes version of the main part of the production company has had to edit is not good reputation. I don't know what that means. But apparently it's 102 minutes. So it's probably the
director's cut.
The director's cut. Yeah. Yeah. But the eagerly awaited. Oh, no, wait. Okay. So I'm sorry. I'm translating English here. So I think what they're trying to say is that the original 102-minute version was not received well, but the eagerly awaited 121 minutes of the director's cut version is what we're releasing at this time. So that's it. So it is the director's cut.
Yeah. Okay. So they're saying like the theatrical cut didn't do well, and
it says
the director's cut.
Video bonus, director's cut version, main story, 121 minutes, directed by Clive Barker with audio commentary. There's an intro, which is probably the intro with Mark Miller and Clive Barker. Then says firefight stunts, which is probably just stunts. Making Monsters, which is documentary, it talks about image animation. Tribes of the Moon, making of, and theatrical trailer. And it comes with original English in linear PCM or stereo. And Batarians, directed by Yutaka Yamaguchi.
What the?
I don't know what that is. It's probably mistranslated. It's probably saying it's in English and probably Japanese. Yeah. Enclosed benefits, box specifications, 16-page booklet, edited by Yoji Yamazaki. So there you go.
It sounds a lot like the director's cut package.
And I apologize that I was just reading a literal translation to English of the Japanese. It's probably weird, but it is. It seems to be the director's cut.
Yeah. So that also kind of will clue us in to what the Arrow release will be for UK and Europe. So there's that. I mean, you're probably going to get the director's cut.
Yeah, which is awesome. I want to see the director's cut start to replace the old theatrical edition.
Yeah, I agree.
Although I still hold that one close to my heart.
Well, I think the theatrical cut, I mean, I think they should always be together, and then people can choose which one they want to watch.
Yeah. But hey, if you're a completist, you can buy this Japanese Blu-ray edition of Nightbreed Director's Cut, and then you can mail it to get signed by Clive Barker.
Right, yeah. So if you're not going to the Monster Mania convention at Cherry Hill, New Jersey, you can use a service called Grotix, Grotix, and they will they'll get stuff signed by the people there at the convention for you. They add a little charge, and you have to include a self-addressed box or envelope or whatever to get it mailed back to you.
So that's cool. They do that for all of the or some of the biggest names that are going to be at the Monster Mania. So you can also get it signed by Clive Barker. You can get it signed by Robert Englund. You can get it signed by the Cenobites,
Yeah.
And some of the prices are interesting. Like Clive Barker signs your item is $75. The Cenobites, Clive Barker and the Hellraiser 4 Cenobites sign your item, $260 if you want to get that signed. And then just the Cenobites is $195. And Doug Bradley signs your item. It costs $45 to do that if you mail it in.
one weird thing is Clive Barker and the Cenobites is 260, and then just the Cenobites is 195.
Right.
And then
So
they
I'm
also
guessing,
have individual ones with like Ashley Lawrence or Tony Todd.
you know, if my financial situation was a little better right now, I could probably do that with my Hellbound Hellraiser 2 poster, because when I was at Texas, I got it signed by all 4 Cenobites.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and Clive Barker. And now the only thing I need is to get it signed by Ashley Lawrence and Peter Atkins. So, but I could probably try to get that signed by Ashley Lawrence. That'd be awesome. Because then I could frame it and be like, "Holy crap, there it is!" And you know, the only one that would be missing would be Imogen Borman. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because she's Tiffany.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's interesting. So if you guys are cannot attend the Monster Mania Con, but you still have stuff you would like to have signed, this is your chance. You know, who knows? You may never get a convention near you where you'll get all 4 Cenobites and Clive Barker.
Let's see how much it would cost for if you can just do like Ashley Lawrence is $45.
Really? Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm seriously considering that.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yep. So that's cool. Another interesting way of getting your stuff signed that does not involve waiting in line for 4 to 7 hours.
Yeah, and then this is something I just wanted to kind of throw in here to help promote cool stuff from the Clive Barker archive. Phil and Sarah's, all of their stuff, you know, the Imaginer books and the playbooks and stuff like that are available for people in England who want to pay in Great Britain pounds on Amazon.co.uk. So when you go to their website, everything's in American dollars, but you can get stuff from Amazon.co.uk from them also.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's, some people just like to use Prime. I don't know if Prime is Prime a thing in England?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I probably should know this before I brought it up. But yeah, some people just like to have, you know, order some stuff from the same spot all the time. So if you're a big Amazon co.uk user, then now you can get it from there.
Yeah, and totally recommend getting. I mean, geez, everyone should own these playbooks. Everyone that's a big enough fan of Clive Barker to listen to us, should be buying those playbooks, because half of those books are plays that have never been published before, and they're very inexpensive.
Yeah, like The Magician, or the one about the vampire hunter. I forgot the name of it.
Oh, the Hunters in the Snow.
Hunters in the Snow. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, so that's really interesting that now you guys can get that. You don't have. I mean, it honestly, the Clive Barker Archive website is amazing, and you can order it there, and you can receive it in almost no time at all. So they're really, really like sharp on the spot with all the orders that they take from their website. But if let's say you want to do it through Amazon, now you have that choice.
Yeah. Well, and of course the Imaginer books are great too. They're just, they're expensive. Yep. If you can afford to get those, definitely get them too. But everybody should get the playbooks.
Absolutely.
And so I guess what we have coming up next, we are going to be talking about Abarat, Days of Magic, Nights of War in 2 weeks. So I think at this point, we hadn't really talked about it, but I was kind of thinking of taking a week off.
Sure.
To give us time to read the book, and also maybe work on transcribing more
episodes for our book.
Yeah, for our book.
Yeah.
We're a little more behind on that than I was hoping, but
yeah.
So we'll take 1 week off, and then when we come back, the weekend of the 20th, which I think it'll be the 21st of July, is the Sunday that'll air. We'll have our Abarat 2 episode.
Yeah, interesting book. Revisiting it, and reading stuff about how it got made and stuff, and how Clive Barker originally had an entire draft that he almost used nothing at all when he chucked it into the bin, and then he started over. And so there's been some interesting stuff that I've been finding out about the book, and I'll try to bring that into our conversation. And do we want to announce any special guests for that episode at this point?
Well, right. Peggy O'Leary is hopefully going to be coming back. She joined us for the first Abarat book, and we've made plans. Hopefully, as long as everything goes smoothly, it should work out. That she'll be back again.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And
she was the one who was teaching. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, and Marcus, if you're listening, we'd love to have you back also.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody who might be asking, hey, where's Rob and what's he up to? He's okay. He's taking a break. I actually talked to him yesterday. He's taking a break from the blog, and he's doing fine.
Awesome. Yeah. I should go talk to him again too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our episode of news for this week, and thanks for being with us. I hope you guys had an excellent 4th of July. Yeah. And remember that we do have an app in the iTunes App Store and Google Play. It's called the BarkerCast app. You can download it on your phone. You can download your favorite episodes, mark them, You even can wake up every morning listening to, hi, and welcome to episode 235 of the Clive Barker Podcast. It comes with an alarm. So it's a great app to have. It keeps everything in one spot.
Yeah. Oh, going back to what you said about the 4th of July, I'm curious. Before you moved to America, did you know about the 4th of July?
Yeah, I did.
Is that a common knowledge thing? Like Black Friday and stuff like that people all over the world kind of know about?
I think more 4th of July than say Thanksgiving or what was the other one that you said? Black Friday. Yeah, Black Friday. Definitely not many people know that, but it started becoming a thing in other countries. I remember when in Portugal, some major electronics, chain of stores started doing a Black Friday in Portugal, where they would make a special event where you have to go into their stores and then everything is covered in like sheets. And then once the time comes, the workers will come in and pull the sheets out, and you'll be able to see the deals that they have for you and stuff like that. Yeah. So I mean, Independence Day, the movie. ID4.
Oh gosh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. But
yeah.
Joey just asked me today. He said, "So, what is the 4th of July about?" So I explained to him about the history of the United States and Independence Day and stuff like that. And then he said, "So in other countries, it's just a date and it doesn't mean anything?" I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just a day that everybody has to go to work."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, countries have different holidays,
Yeah, yeah.
And the July 4th. Thomas Jefferson on July 3rd was chilling in his living room with his fireplace, and then he remembered, oh, crap, that's due tomorrow. I got to do that.
Right. Yeah.
And
right after they've taken over all the airports.
And since I'm not American, I have to ask you, what's the deal with John Hancock's signature being so big? It's like 3 times bigger than everybody else.
Yeah.
I guess he must have been one of the first ones to sign it, right?
And that became, I think he was the first one, right? Because that became like, put your John Hancock on there.
Yeah.
It was like an idiom for putting your signature on something.
Don't say that too fast.
Right.
Put your Hancock in there. Right. All right. So that's cool. Another episode. And thank you for joining us for this. And this podcast, having no beginning, will have no end.
You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com, where we have news, features, reviews, and links to all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts and every other place you can find podcasts. Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial, podcast, and news blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.